All right, joining us is Valerie Cagle from the Clemson women's softball team. And first of all, Valerie, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to be with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Just wanted to ask you a few questions. First of all, just got word before me and you started, you're National Player of the Week. Congratulations. What does that mean for you?
Thank you. It's definitely feels nice. This past weekend was the first weekend this year that I felt like my hitting and my pitching kind of all came together, and I felt comfortable with both. So it's nice to see that all that is coming together.
This is the first weekend you said, but yet your numbers say that that's not what it says. So what makes it different that this is the first weekend that you felt like everything came together?
I felt like my pitching had been pretty good for the whole season, but my hitting was just kind of hit or miss. I was working on some things mechanically, and I think I've kind of figured those out a little bit more, and I'm just more comfortable with where I'm at right now.
I know Patrick had a stat that you guys had tied a Clemson all-time record for women's sports. When y'all heard that, first of all, when did y'all learn that stat? And when you heard that, what did you think about it?
We were coming back from the bus from Louisville, and I saw it on a Twitter post, and I turned to Casey, who was sitting beside me, and I was like, that's crazy that we're in our second year and we're already like tying a record like that.
And what does it feel like, to know you tied a record like that, and now you have an opportunity this weekend to set it?
Right. I think that just really shows how good Coach Rittman and our whole staff is at getting players in and creating a culture that people want to be a part of. And, people that have really good talent are coming here and they want to be here. So
for you this year, what's been different for you? It's your second year now. Obviously last year was cut short, but still you got some plenty of experiences. So for you individually, what was something you learned from last year that you were able to take into this season?
I think the biggest thing was just the experiences we had. We played Georgia, and, we started conference play, and just taking those experiences and becoming more comfortable in those situations and just being able to build off of that for this year. So, I'm going into weekends way more comfortable than I was. And it's not like, we're playing somebody like, and I'm more comfortable with the player that I am and not feeling like I have to force something to make it happen. So just the experience aspect is the big thing.
You mentioned you played Georgia and that win over them. They were ranked number 14. They came here. It was a great setting that night. I remember it well. And you guys were able to find a way, not just to win the game, but win the way you did that night. What did that do? Because if you look at that game and then what you guys have done since that game, it's been an unbelievable run. So what did that night against Georgia tell you guys as a program, as a young program in its first year at the time, that you could do?
Right. I think that win just proved to us that we could do what we were aiming to do. And we were at that position to where we had the talent and we had the resources to go in those big games and be very competitive and come out on top of those games. And, maybe that's something that we were wanting that early in the year, but it's kind of hard to tell until you face those challenges, whether you're there and whether you're ready. And I think that just really proved to us that we were at that level.
You guys played Virginia Tech earlier this year, and everybody knows about the success you guys have had, the 17-game winning streak, 20-2 overall, 12-2 in the ACC. You've won 11 straight conference games. All those accolades are there, and everybody talks about them. But to me, it's like that Virginia Tech series. Even though you didn't win that series, that's kind of the catalyst for all this. Can you explain to me why that series taught you guys so much?
Right. I mean, that was definitely a big series. It was the first ACC games we were playing that year, and we knew it was going to be a big challenge. And we came out that first game, and we got the win, and then the other two didn't, but we still played very competitive softball against them. And we had great at-bats against top-tier pitching, and so starting off like that and proving to ourselves that we were at that level that early in the season was definitely a good building block to prove, what we can accomplish for the rest of the year.
And then when you went to Georgia Tech that next week, tell me the pressure that was on, or did you feel any, or do you think you guys could go in there and start the streak that you guys are on now, where you're just, you've won 5 straight series, you swept 5 straight opponents. How big was that to not get your head down or whatever, and maybe to stay focused and just like forget what happened at Virginia Tech, but learn from it, but forget about it and try to move forward, right?
Right. And in that Georgia Tech, I think it's definitely difficult for that weekend. It was, the pod weekend, and you're already played 3 games, and now you got to change gears. So you're playing Georgia Tech instead of Virginia Tech. And so I think our team, it just did a really good job of shifting gears. All right, this is a different opponent, we're going to be here and we're going to attack them. And it was great teamwork to work through those wins.
And want to kind of get to you now a little bit. Coach told me yesterday, an interesting story that I found interesting, and he's probably talked to you about it. But the thing that when he thinks about you and all you've done, he said the thing that's the most amazing is you were homeschooled as a kid all the way through high school and all, I guess. And he said that's been the way you've handled that adjustment has been amazing to him to watch. So explain to me the difference for somebody who's been homeschooled, because like most of us out here, including myself, we don't know what that's like. And then to go to college, and not only go to a college, but to a major university where you got 100 people in a classroom with you when you used to just be you. Can you explain that?
Right. It definitely, and it's going to be different for obviously everybody who goes through that, but it wasn't as big of an adjustment, especially in the classroom, as I kind of expected. I think we have so much academic support here with tutoring and, academic advising and just all the resources we have, that whatever we need, we have access to. And so if you're struggling with something, it's there. And so even though you're in that classroom of 100 people, you still have that one-on-one when you need it. So that was definitely something that was very helpful for me with the transition.
How did that affect you as a student athlete? That's had to be the most different part too, right? I mean, how different was that for you going from homeschool to athlete to being a student athlete, where you're kind of responsible for your own schoolwork, you got to go to classrooms, and then you got to go to tutoring and all that stuff?
Right. I think I'm somebody who, from homeschooling, I definitely became a very self-motivated person, and I get stuff done when I need to get it done. I get really stressed out if I procrastinate things. So that was something that was already kind of ingrained in me a little bit. So it wasn't as big of an adjustment of, you have this time to get this thing done. And then with how crazy our schedules are between athletics and academics, it's you don't really have time to put things off either. And so you kind of just do things when you have the time to do them. So that wasn't too big of an adjustment for me. Just getting things done when you kind of have the time.
So in other words, you could not be a sports writer, because we do everything procrastinating. So we put it off to the last second. I tease. Probably would be a very good sports writer. Just wanted to ask you also about this year for you individually. What were your career goals going in, and do you set career goals for yourself?
I definitely have set some. I think for me, a big thing is setting the career goals, but breaking them down kind of year at a time, and not necessarily focusing as much on the performance aspect, but because those will kind of come. The big thing for me this year was focusing on being a teammate that my team would play behind. Because last year, it's definitely, I'm a freshman, and I just turned 18 when the season started. And so just kind of figuring out the maturity factor of it. And there were games that I know, I'm sure my teammates didn't want to deal with me, and I didn't even really want to deal with myself last year. And so just kind of figuring out that of being my teammate's biggest supporter. And then all the other stuff will kind of come from there. But there's definitely, career goals, but I have to break them down to sizable chunks so that I don't put too much pressure on myself or try too hard to get something.
Yesterday, I asked Coach, would it be a good argument for me to make that you, speaking of you would be the best athlete at Clemson University. That's counting every sport, man and female. Would you agree with me when I make that assessment?
I mean, I'm not somebody who's going to say that. We have some really good athletes across the different sports at Clemson. So I wouldn't say that, but.
Yeah, but not all of them do two things very well at the highest level, though. You see my argument, right?
I guess, but.
I don't mean to put you on the spot. So what do you like to do the most, though? Speaking of that, do you like to pitch more, or do you like to play position and hit? What do you enjoy the most?
I definitely prefer hitting or pitching over playing outfield. I love playing outfield, but the pitching, it's just so much more of a competitive factor for me. So I love pitching more than outfield, but between hitting and pitching, it honestly kind of just depends on the day. It's not even necessarily which one I'm doing better. It's just, I really don't know which one I like better. It just kind of depends. I mean, I've grown up doing both of them so much that they're both just so normal for me to be doing them both. So I'm not sure which one I really like more, but definitely pitching over outfield.
When did you kind of pick up softball? When did it all happen for you? How old were you? How did you get involved?
Um, I started playing softball when I was 6. I have an older sister who's 9 years older than me, and she played softball. And then my brother is 2 years older than me, and he played baseball. And then my dad played baseball growing up, so it's kind of just runs in the family. But I started playing coach pitch when I was 6.
Did any of them play Division I baseball or softball?
No, my sister played club ball at Virginia Tech, and then my brother played at our community college, but they did not play D1.
Okay, so dad didn't either. He just played high school, I guess.
No.
Okay, so there's a love for baseball, softball in your family. When did it become obvious, though, to you that, hey, you know, I'm pretty good at this. Maybe I can do something. When do you remember that moment?
Asking her to repeat that question.
You need me to repeat it?
Yes, please.
Okay. So what moment did you realize that you were pretty good at softball?
I think I remember being about 12 and starting to talk about wanting to play college softball. But I really wasn't very good at pitching then, so it was kind of more just like a hitting and playing, but I'm pretty sure it was around 12.
Is there any particular game that it was that you said, man, I'm pretty good at this, I can maybe do something with it?
No, I think I just started hearing more of my friends talking about wanting to go play, college softball. And I was like, okay, like that's something that I could do. I could see myself doing. But
to do that, how does a young lady go about getting herself in position to be a Division I softball player?
Right. It's definitely making sure you're on the right travel team. One of those showcase teams that actually goes to the tournaments that coaches are at. And then just, kind of sending emails and just going to camps and just building those relationships is a big thing.
Do you see yourself as one of those role models that young ladies look up to?
It's weird for me to think about it like that, just because like I'm still used to looking up to other people. But being at Clemson, it is in that situation, and I get like DMs sometimes, people asking me recruiting questions or stuff like that. So it's weird for me to think about that, but I guess I'm kind of in that situation. Yeah.
And this will be the final question. A big series this weekend. I don't have to tell you how big it is, against Duke, number 11 team in the country. They've been on a run just like you guys have. They're 20-1 and 11-1 in the conference. What do you guys have to do? First of all, give me a little scouting report of what you can about Duke, and then what do you guys have to do to win it?
I don't honestly know too much about Duke. I haven't been able to watch many games. But I think the big thing for us is just to not overhype the situation. And yeah, it's going to be a big series and it's, a big deal, but just play the way we've been playing and stay within ourselves like we have the last, for the whole season so far, because we've been successful this far for a reason. And so just because we're playing maybe a tougher opponent, we can't change our plan to.
How exciting is it for you ladies that it's going to be at Clemson, that you get to play this? And no, it's not going to be a packed house because of the COVID restriction, but even the 600 or so that are there, they're pretty intimidating, aren't they? They're a pretty good crowd, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, no matter how many fans we have, they always, you always know they're there. They always make some noise. So it's definitely nice to have it at home, especially a first meeting against them in conference play.
All right, Valerie, thanks so much for joining us today. I do appreciate you. Good luck this weekend. Congratulations again on your achievement this week, and keep doing the things you've been doing. Okay, we're proud of you.
Thank you.
All righty.